it's the end of the road, or so it seems, for former Zimbabwean Minister Saviour Kasukuwere, whom he was challenging the Supreme Court ruling that nullified his candidature. Now the Constitutional Court says he has failed to convenience the Constitutional Court that the Supreme Court aired. And of course, this has some serious implications. But let's find out from him now. Former Zimbabwean Minister Saviour Kasukuwere joins us live now. Thank you so much for your time. I'm in the court saying that you failed to convince it, and of course a lot being said about that particular ruling, but I wonder, how is your reaction tonight?
Well, actually, the judgment this afternoon by DCJ, by Deputy Chief Justice and the bench, was actually very encouraging in that they have directed us accordingly in terms of appealing the decision of the Supreme Court. As you are aware, we received the written judgment from the Supreme Court only yesterday, and the application that had been made by our team, our legal team, to the Constitutional Court made it necessary, therefore, for the judges to direct us otherwise and say, you must take this up with their own appeal against the decision of the Supreme Court, and that will be done first thing tomorrow morning. So it's far from over. This is a war. You lose some battles. Many people may fail to understand legal implications of some of the decisions by the courts. But this judgment to us is not a train smash. It's not the end of the road. If anything, it has allowed us to recalibrate and approach it with a clear intention, obviously, of overturning the decision of the Supreme Court. And secondly, it is not the only position that we have in terms of our legal challenges. The whole electoral process, we have taken very seriously that it must be able to withstand legal scrutiny. And we have tomorrow, too, we have another situation at the High Court where, again, our interdict against ZEC will be heard. And we also have in the Constitutional Court another application which is still pending, and there's one which we hope and trust that the Chief Justice will give direction on. This is the Jim Kunaka Court, and these are all
Mr. Kasukuwere, I'm going to ask that we try and get you on a better line because we could hear you, but now it seems like we are struggling to hear some of what you're saying there at the end. And I just still believe that we are still struggling with his line. And of course, as he says, that for them not being granted direct access to appeal this matter does not deter him. And simply tomorrow, there will be papers that will be filed in order to flesh out their own appeal. And of course, it's going to be interesting to see what this one looks like, because a number of people are saying that he's fighting a losing battle here, but others are saying that, you know, for them, this is a fight that is worth fighting, and it does look like it could also pave the way of what things look like for the future of, you know, candidates who look to contest the elections, the presidential elections, that is, in Zimbabwe. And Mr. Kasukuwere, I think you are back. We were struggling with your line just a little, you know, bit there towards the end. But let's talk about the basis of your argument as you now get into this full-on appeal. What then becomes that one issue for you that you are going to be taking on a large scale as you file your papers tomorrow? All right,
well,
it looks
we are
like
taking on appeal.
Okay, pardon me, we lost you the first part. Please try again.
Yeah, we are taking on appeal the decision made by the Kotako, which is the High Court, and obviously supported by the decision taken by the Supreme Court. This is what we're taking up. And our application today was for direct access to the Constitutional Court. In other words, we wanted the Constitutional Court to hear our issue on a direct basis. However, the decision by the Constitutional Court does not stop us from appealing against the judgment by the Supreme Court. And we're still within time to make that application, and this is what we are doing tomorrow. And
I'm sure you've seen some of those who are criticizing you from, you know, various fronts are saying that it's a waste of time. You should not even be looking at picking up this particular matter.
Well, you know what? We believe in the rule of law. And if as long as the courtrooms are open, we will challenge a decision that we think is not in the interest of our country. This challenge that I am mounting is not only just for myself. It is about the rights of many Zimbabweans who might also not be in Zimbabwe at any particular time. So this is at the core of our democracy. The right to vote, the right for you to participate in the politics of our country is enshrined in the basic law of our land. And because of that, we will not stop doing that. I know various commentators have their own viewpoints, but from where we stand, it's essential that Zimbabwe starts on that path of following the law to the letter.
And how confident are you that the courts, in your view, would now find in your favor, given what has transpired? As you know, you've started and you've stated that you're looking to contest the presidential election in Zimbabwe.
Well, I would have used the term, say, the higher a baboon climbs, the more it exposes itself. We continue to go to the courts so that at the end of the day, the public court can make an opinion. Are these courts representing the interests of our people or not? We will fight, and we have no other way except to go to the courts. So as long as, like I said, the courtrooms are open, we'll take our cases there.
And are they representing the interests of the people in your view?
Well, I think this is why we appeal against their decisions. When we think that they are not representing the interests of our people, we go and appeal. And our decision and determination to stay in the courtroom means that we have realized that there's a problem. And that institution is so important for our people, and we can't allow it to go either in other direction. And if we think that there are issues to be raised, we shall raise them until we get a resolution to those challenges.
Now, let's talk about, you know, the election in and itself, because a number of people are saying that the deadline is quite close. And if there's still going to be an appeal process that is being launched and it's not heard in time, what then happens if that matter is not scheduled within the time frame that, you know, you say you are looking at and you think you still have time? What happens then? Will you call for the election to be postponed, or how are you going to be proceeding throughout that?
As it stands, it appears already that our timelines have been missed quite clearly from the, you look at the things in terms of our election law, electoral act, a lot of the signposts have been missed. This is to do with the ballot printing, which should have been done a long time before. Secondly, the postal votes, which should have been sent, have not been sent. And this is part and parcel of what we're now litigating against. In fact, the ZEC went to the extent of making a statutory instrument which is contrary to what the Constitution allows. You cannot come up with an institution, a statutory instrument that affects the conduct of the very elections that we're talking about. So, as far as we're concerned, we know, yes, we have time challenges, but I don't need a lot of time. Give me 2 weeks. I'll run to victory. So, that's not a big problem.
Given what you've just described, then what does it mean for the integrity of this election?
Well, I think the integrity of our elections is in doubt. Hence, we are going into the courts. We need to improve the jurisprudence around our democratic process in Zimbabwe. It's so important that we challenge where we think that democracy is being affected. How it turns out or how it will span out, I might not be able to say exactly how it's going to look in the future, but we cannot allow people to trample on the laws of our country and ignore that.
All right, let's see then what happens. As you say, we give you 2 weeks, and let's see what unfolds on this particular one, because as you say, it's far from over, but let's see if the courts agree with your assertion. That's Saviour Kasukuwere, former Zimbabwean minister, who's also announced that he intends to contest for the presidency in the election of Zimbabwe. But of course, the courts, taking that matter now of direct access back to him, and and he says he's going to then be launching a direct appeal. So there's quite a lot that is unfolding on this particular one. A lot of people talking about this one as well, saying his candidacy is in question, but others are saying that this is important for the democracy of that country.